Welcome to Your Future Starts Now, the go-to podcast for extraordinary women who are ready to step into their next chapter with authentic confidence. I'm your host, Gia Lacqua, empowerment coach, motivational speaker, children's book author, and girl mom. Whether you're a corporate powerhouse or an entrepreneur, this show is designed for you. Your Future Starts Now is more than just a podcast. It's a movement towards rewriting the rules of success for high-achieving women. Are you ready to get unstuck and step into your next chapter? If so, you're exactly where you need to be. Your future starts now. Welcome to Your Future Starts Now. I'm your host, Gia Lacqua. Thanks for joining us. Today, I am so excited to welcome Shana and Vanessa to the show. Shana and Vanessa are dynamic keynote speakers, master financial coaches, and co-hosts of the globally acclaimed podcast, Financial Coaching for Women. Known for turning budget talks into fun, judgment-free sessions, they bring a decade of experience and training from Dave Ramsey to empower thousands towards financial freedom with their smart money system. Their approach combines empathy, practicality, and humor, ensuring financial coaching uplifts both spirits and bank accounts. As moms, wives, best friends, and business partners, their presentations are engaging, supportive, and filled with tough love, making finance feel like a chat over coffee with friends. Their success story, building a thriving debt-free business from day one, driven by the determination and mission to teach women how to be bougie on a budget. I love it. I need some of that. Shana and Vanessa, welcome to the show. So happy to have you here with us today.
Thank you so much. We're so excited to be here.
Yes, and we will definitely live up to that intro for sure. No problem.
I don't even know where to start. We got a lot to dig into today. So tell us a little bit about your backstories and sort of what led you to the work that you're doing today.
Well, we say this like 1,000 different ways. We're going to try to just come out here. Shane and I have known each other since our boys were 4. They're going to be 16 this year. So it's almost, 11 years ago. And they went to school together. They were in VPK together in Florida. It's a free program that they offer. And it was at the YMCA. And her and I started working out together in a workout group. And literally, the first day of the group, she said, I need a church. And I said, hey, I just went to a new church. You want to come with me next week? And our friendship blossomed from there.
Yeah. And I look back on that real quick and think we started that church. And I think 2 weeks later, we were leading a community group together. So that was like a good foreshadowing of what was about to happen. But anyway, so we were friends. We grew up as moms together, really, because that was our first, little babies. And we had more after that. And we just, we went to the beach for free. We did all the frugal things for free. And because we were not exactly broke, but we felt like it. And so that kind of led into one day I picked up a book. Some people may have heard of it, Total Money Makeover. And I read it and I gave it to my husband to read. Mm-hmm. And he said, we already do this. And I said, I'm not sure that's correct, babe, but whatever. So then I gave it to Vanessa, who actually read it and implemented everything. I always say like to the 10th degree. It was like most people are here. And she said, no, I'm going to raise the bar. And she did some really cool things.
Yeah. So I don't actually love to read that much. And I think I devoured this book in a week, and I was so intrigued by all the information, all the success that he had, just teaching people how to manage their money better. Mm-hmm. And I went to Portugal for 3 months with my kids before they started school. And I really found out who I was there, kind of what was important to us, what our values were. My husband came out halfway in between, and I said, this is what I want. I want to live small. I want to live frugally, and I want to be able to travel. I don't want to be house poor. I want you to be able to walk away from your job at any moment. And so we came home, sold the big house, sold a bunch of stuff, moved into a small house, paid the mortgage off in 3 years. And that really led into us starting this business together. But I'll let her finish it.
Oh, yeah. Well, so my husband eventually, we were military, and we just kind of grew up. We didn't have a lot of money. And so when he finally read the book, started listening to Dave, decided that we were going to take this seriously. We did it. We got debt free really quickly. We loved it. We had a great time. We started going, we went to the classes. We started teaching the classes. Anyway, so I had my own business as a coach then, and I took Dave's training, and then I texted Vanessa and said, what did I say, Vanessa?
I was in a really bad place with the job, and I was really asking God for some guidance. And Shana texted me that week and said, wow, I'm moving back home. I want you to get your financial coaching certification, and we're going to do this together. And that was in 2019.
Yeah. So we had just been stationed away for like a year and a half, and we came back and we started our business. we started like kind of the prep work, but then we officially launched on April 1st, 2020, which was right smack dab in the middle of the pandemic on April Fool's Day. No big deal. Totally recommend it as a great time to start a business. And then we've just been going ever since and figuring out exactly what we need to do to help other women go on that same journey where we were, where we felt like we didn't have money. We didn't know what we were doing. We weren't taught it. We weren't talked to about it. Right. And so now we try to talk about it all the time. We do literally talk about it all the time and try to bring it into a more fun, lighthearted conversation that's based around your vision, your dreams, your goals, exciting things that, and then systemize it. Because listen, we don't have a lot of brain calories to spare. So we try to make everything about your budget as systemized and automated as possible.
Mm-hmm. I love that. What an incredible story. That's amazing. How things work out in life, right? And I think it's important what you're saying about this, systemizing the work around your budget, because I feel like, as high achieving women, working moms, right? To your point, we're doing all the things. Mm-hmm. And then when it comes down to budgeting, it's just one more thing to add to our plates. And I do feel like in the work that I do with high achieving women, they typically tend to be experts in the work that they do and experts in a lot of areas. But if their expertise is not in finance, this is an area of, it's almost like you shy away from it.
Oh yeah.
Right. Because you feel if you're not an expert in it, like, well, where do I even start? No. And I know it can be really overwhelming for a lot of people. So, I'm curious as to your perspective. And I know you talk about this is, why is it that even when women are making good money, right? Or you do have a 2-income household, we don't feel like we're able to save much or at all. What's your take on that?
Well, I would love to rewind a little bit.
So much more to
I know. Because when you said successful women, they're high achieving, they're doing great things. They come to us all the time and they're like, well, I should already know this. Yeah. Like they have put themselves they've already guilted themselves and shamed themselves that they should have already known it. They should have already implemented all of this. They should already be rock stars at finance. And
why aren't they?
Yeah. And we're just like we said, we weren't taught it. And so we were not taught personal finance. We might have been taught like how to balance a checkbook, maybe very lucky if we were, and we might have been taught about credit scores, but we weren't taught about the very complex personal finance things that we have going on these days. It's no longer like put some cash in an envelope or put it between the mattresses. It's so much more complex than that.
Well, they weren't even taught how to manage their own finances and do their own budget. But then you get married and it's like, oh, but now you have to manage you and your spouse's income with kids and house. And like Shana said, there's so much more going on in the world. And so it's just way more complex. And so there is a weight on their shoulders of why can't I figure this out? Why haven't I got this under control? Yeah. What am I doing wrong? What is wrong with me? I'm terrible with money. There's just a lot of shame that comes around it. So we just really back that off and say, you just were not taught, and that is okay. And that's why you're here, and you're going to know, you're going to find out, we're going to organize it, we're going to systemize it. And guess what? Then it's going to be hands off, and it is one less thing you have to worry about.
Yeah. And to your question specifically, the problem is disorganization. It's not usually an income problem. It's not even always an overspending. Some people maybe, but we do have people come in and say, I spend too much money. And we're like, actually, you had to buy the kid shoes. Like it was important. It wasn't, you just didn't have a budget. It's not organized. And that's what's making you feel like you're not good with money, or you don't have anything to show for all the good income that you're making, or you're not saving. It's because you just don't have a system and you're disorganized.
So interesting. Yeah. And appreciate you validating that feeling that a lot of women do have, right? High achieving, successful women do experience, and that it is real. And it's a great point that, nobody sat us down and said, this is how you're going to manage your finances for the rest of your life by yourself and, with a spouse, with a partner. And then there's, all the unknowns of life that get thrown your way, right? The things we don't really plan for or we expect. And so
which
just
is almost everything in your budget right now.
Right.
Right. Yeah. So that is a great point. So it's more about the organization, I guess, and to some extent the tracking of it, right?
Well, the planning is the word we would use. We, with our system, we know you don't have time to go back and track every expense. So
and I don't want to do that. We don't want you to have to.
So we think about planning it, right? future tense.
Yeah, for sure. So what we, there may be the 1 month that when you first are signing up and trying to figure out, or not signing up, starting this process, right? And figuring out what am I spending? How am I spending it before you get the system in place? So you may have to track at the very beginning, but the idea is that you have a system in place. You have a couple different checking accounts doing all the work for you. And those accounts become basically your tracker. And that's really the only thing you have to manage and really look at. Yeah. But we set up, automatic transfers. We set up this whole system to where, because we want you to be as hands-off as possible, because we know that the more we touch it, the more we're in the bank account, the more it's going to get messed up.
It's just so true. I am personally validated by that. The more I'm doing, the more I'm messing up. So what we try to do is, how you have the angel on your shoulder and the devil on your shoulder. The devil on your shoulder is the one that's like, let's just go get on that Amazon app. But we want to take advantage of the angel on your shoulder who's like, I want to pay for my daughter's wedding or whatever it is that you want to save up for. And so that's what we're talking about. We're planning it from that top down vision. And then we're setting it all automatically up to happen so that you don't mess it up. And it actually takes you going into your account to say, I want to steal from Sarah's wedding so that I can get this thing on Amazon. Like, you're literally going to have to transfer it out. It's going to put a little step in there that checks you. But anyway, so you just, what happens is you get that vision and you just have it happen automatically. And then people get so much more excited about saving money than they do spending. And it's really fun.
I love that. And I think for people who cringe at the talk, first sign of budgets and spreadsheets like me, it's good to know that you're working with the individual's goals and objectives really, and then tailoring it to what they want.
Yeah. I love how you brought that up, because our system is very unique. We love Dave Ramsey. One of the things that he kind of teaches is it's a kind of one type of system, and it works for everyone. And, when people come to us, they're like, it doesn't work for me specifically. And so what we realize is that they really need a tailored system. They need a tailored budget and a tailored way to make it work for them. And we have all of our clients, and every single one of them does their budget differently. And we feel as they should, because their situation is different from the next person, right? So we love using our budget because it is so simple to use, our budget template that we designed ourselves, because we did go out and we found a ton of budgets out there that we were trying to use for our business, and they just didn't work.
No. And it's really pretty. And that's important too, because we want to take the stigma out of a spreadsheet. And what we found is they're all like manly and ugly looking. And it's fine. Men are really great at things, but designing a pretty budget was not something that we had seen. But to the point of what you were saying, that's where our catchphrase Bougie on a budget comes from. We are not talking mostly to people who have $0. They're broke. They're right out of college or whatever. We're talking to who's listening to your podcast. They are successful. They're high achieving. They have money. And so we need to figure out, now that you've worked your way up the ladder, whatever version of that is, to make good money. Congratulations. Great job. Now it's time to figure out how to keep some of that money, right? You can't, you get kind of just your expenses can increase as your income does. So what we want to do is take a step back, congratulate you, high five. You did a good job. You're making good money. And now let's figure out how to keep it.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. So I know we've been talking about your process, but is there anything else you want to add in terms of the smart money system that you want our listeners to know about?
Yeah. So one of the things that we recommend, the first thing that we really talk about is you don't know where you want to be unless you know where you're at. So one of the things we recommend is telling our listeners to go back and do a 90-day review, right? So go and look at how much money have you been spending? Where is all your money going? Whether that's, look at your credit card statements, look at your bank statements, and just kind of add up, get some highlighters out and go, okay, this category is gas, this category is groceries, this category is going out to eat, and just get a picture first of where you're at. Then from those numbers, then you can make a real simple plan on where you want to go based on your goals. Like Shana said, if you want to pay for graduation, a huge graduation party for your kids, if you want to pay for college, if you want to budget in for the weddings and the travel and all this stuff that you have a vision for in the future, let's do that. Let's get it on paper and make sure that your everyday lifestyle matches up to those goals.
Yeah. And we have a lot of different parts or components to our system. Sure. We wouldn't want to overwhelm anybody because we do want them to get excited about that. But really, that first budget is going to teach you how to separate your finances and organize them. Because what we, like Vanessa alluded to earlier, we're going to have that bills account. All the money for the bills is staying there, and you never have to worry about paying a bill. You never have to worry if there's money to pay a bill. You have your money over here that's automatically stacking up for groceries. It's automatically stacking up for spending. It's automatically stacking up for saving for travel or for, your vehicle expenses or whatever. That's all happening automatically. That is the system. That is the smart money system right there. And so then the only other thing I might add is those transfers happen on payday. So every time that you get paid, you have money added to your grocery account. You have money added to gas. You have money, maybe a little bit or a lot, depending on where you're at with debt and all that kind of stuff, added to that daughter's wedding fund. I don't know why we're talking about that. Like, it's because she has a 13-year-old, 14. Yep. Yeah. Sorry. She just had her birthday last month. 14-year-old. So we're thinking about daughter's weddings, but there's a million other things that you might have goals for. And all of that happens automatically on your payday. And literally, when you said you don't like spreadsheets, build one, and then you pick up your phone and your bank app is the spreadsheet. You're like, oh, look at all the money I have still to spend, or look at all the money we have still for restaurants. And it's that simple. And it's clean and it's organized.
Then I could really throw up when I see how much I spend on groceries.
Yeah. Well, it's funny you say that, because when we try to have our clients do that 90-day review Vanessa was talking about before they come in. And we did have a client, she was spending like $2,000 on eating out a month. And she said, I wanted to throw up. I just I know better. And you kind of don't think about it. You don't, know, until you see that number in whole. And that is the fire that helps you want to change,
Sure. And I love that concept of the 90-day audit, right? And sort of evaluating where you're spending, and to your point, what you want to change. So I think that could see how that could be really powerful.
Yeah. And we know that it's going to take a minute. Like, we know it's going to take some time, but literally, if you can just get those numbers down, then you can make a real solid plan for the next month and upcoming months as you tweak it.
And that 90-day audit that you so beautifully named, the audit, is important because there's some irrational standards out there. I think we looked it up, in the national budget grocery average for groceries for a family, it's like $500 a month. And it's
like, was that 10, 20 years ago?
I don't know who thinks that that's going to work, right? So that's why we want you to look at your numbers, because your numbers are different than anyone else. That doesn't mean there isn't room for improvement. Obviously there is, but you want to see what your numbers, and then you have a measure to see what the improvement should be. And it's just really important to take that first step.
Yeah. That makes sense. So in terms of the clients that you work with, I would love to know, of the high achieving women, what would you say, or what do you see as the common challenges or pitfalls?
I would say a pitfall is that they think they're bad with money. They just associate themselves being bad with money because they can't do it right. And so we really work on the mindset. But once we show them that you have money, and this is how you're going to organize it, this is how we're going to set it up, then they see it all grow. Like Shana said, you're watching it build in your accounts, and you're staying within your limits in those certain accounts to spend your money. Then they just feel so good. And it's like, it's the transformation that happens in their conversation, their body language, their spouses, like everything. It's really fun to watch.
Yeah. Another common problem that we hear about is quote unquote unexpected expenses. That's one that came to my mind.
It's our
favorite. Because while there are so here's the deal. You're going to set up an emergency fund that is for those true unexpected expenses. But most of the expenses that they're talking about are expected. It's just a matter of getting in the mindset to plan for them and to think about them. So maybe in the beginning, you're just tracking them as they do. You're like, oh yeah, I forgot that I paid for the yearbook in May or whatever. I didn't have that in the budget. But once you've started really putting it, next May, you won't forget. You'll have it right there as a note, right? To put in your May budget. But then also you'll start to get better at predicting it, because now you're taking control and ownership of your finances versus you're just kind of like hoping that everything works out. Usually now you're taking control, and our system helps you to navigate those unexpected expenses, right? So Mother's Day is not unexpected, but you might have forgot about it. Or teachers appreciation gifts. We're just talking about, recent, but all of those that and we're going to, we can jog your memory, but your taxes, your insurance, your oil changes, none of that is unexpected, but we are not planning for it. So our system has you saving. That's what those savings buckets are really for, is all of these things that we know are coming, but we don't have the time to think about it. We haven't set aside the time or brain calories
or
to
the
really,
foresight.
right.
Like we are not there yet. And that's really what we want to do, is get you to the point where, hey, Christmas is December 25th every year. Don't forget.
Yeah.
Your kid's birthday is January every year. Don't forget, and so we plan, like Shana said, ahead of time for all this stuff. So once it's a set it and forget it type of system, you're hands off. And the only thing you really have to worry about is the spending section of your budget, which is like your gas and groceries and your everyday stuff.
Yeah. And the women feel so much better once they've set this up, because they, like Vanessa said, they come in thinking they're the problem. And it's not, because you had to pay a doctor copay does not make you an overspender or bad with money. It's just, you weren't planning for it. And so when we set the system up, one of the savings buckets we do, depending on how it goes for your family, is a medical savings bucket, right? And all of those things being accounted for, and you just know, no matter what, for the most part, what happens, I have money set aside for what's going to happen. Then you can just go back. That's really the thing, is we got to get you tuned up, fixed up, organized, and then go back to being the awesome, successful person at the things that you're awesome and successful at. And that's all automated.
Yeah, I'm thinking about my kids' pediatric urgent care visits over this winter. But yeah, it's a good point. I love what you said about being proactive and having that foresight and really planning ahead. And I do think I hear what you're saying, and I think it's very powerful. And I think it's very aligned with the work we do in coaching, which is the mindset shift, of we actually have a lot more control and agency than sometimes we believe that we do.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
Yeah, for sure. I think that, when they first come in and they think that they're bad, and all that stuff happens, and then we watch them transform. We watch them go, okay, we're setting aside this, and they do exactly what we tell them to do. And then they're like, I actually have leftover money. I didn't spend all my money. I see where I have the ability to start saving money, or I'm not bad with money. I just didn't know what to do with all my money and how to organize it. It's really fun to see them be joyed. Like, I have a new client. I think she's been with me for about 2 or 3 months. And she said, why doesn't everyone know about this?
Right.
It was just, her husband's a doctor. They make really good money. And, she's able to save a lot for those quote unquote unexpected expenses every month. And she's just overjoyed with feeling in control now. Like, she's 100% in control of her finances.
Yeah. Taking ownership is key. We were talking to another lady once, and she was talking about how women maybe shy away from the word wealth, or they shy away from this financial sometimes thing, because just whatever stigma or whatever is out there. And so that is part of the mindset that you have to overcome. Like, it's okay for you to take ownership over your finances. You are smart enough. You are capable enough. It's, to do this. And we like to say, you're already so successful. That is going to apply to this as soon as you actually apply yourself to it. Right. And so I just think like you said, it is definitely a mindset thing. There's a lot of things barriers that we might have to time. Like I said, the shame around wealth or whatever, all of that we might have to overcome, but it's totally possible.
Yeah. And I imagine for some people, maybe not the majority, but for some people, there's probably also their childhood experiences around money that come into play, right? And the learned behavior of what they grew up with.
Oh, sure. You can go.
Well,
we're going to say the same thing.
Well, I don't know. We might not, but we were just talking this morning about, the learned behavior. There's lots of money baggage that can happen, but one that's prevalent is the lack of ambition. And so lack of drive that you might have seen as a child that just allows you to want to settle with that wherever you are financially, kind of not settle, but like everything's good enough. It's good enough. Why bother trying to do better or trying to strive for more? Right. And that's one small, but there's a lot of other money baggage things that people come with.
Yeah. I mean, I'm even thinking about some people who think that, well, it didn't happen for my parents, so why would I be able to be a millionaire? And I think we love working with young people too. And like in their 20s, we have a lot of people who actually purchase our 6-month program for wedding gifts, as graduation gifts and things like that. Because I'm like, if I can get them young, right? And I ask them, like, do you think that it's possible for you to be a millionaire by the time you're 30 or 40? And they're like, absolutely not. And I'm, we're going to show you how to do that. We're going to show you how that's possible, because we know that it can be done. Yeah. And so it's just really fun to just empower them with that. Like Shana said, the ability or the thought that I can actually achieve more, and I'm not going to settle just because of where my parents were financially or just where my community is or whatever. They want to do better and have more, and that's okay.
Yeah. And another mindset problem, or, what they learn, like you said, learned behaviors when they're younger, is really, they usually come in two different camps. One is, well, we didn't have any money, So now that I might have some money, I spend it all, or we didn't have any money, so I will never spend any. And so you have like that camp. And then you have people that their parents made a lot of money, and they never thought about it. They never thought about whether it costs this or that. Vanessa was saying the other day that her, her son, he has a friend that they are very wealthy and they hang out a lot together. And she said, son, if you want to maintain this lifestyle, you're going to have to get a job that pays real well. Cause this, you just need to know that this is not normal, right?
Comes at a price.
And so people walk into adulthood, not Chase, not her son, but people walk into adulthood not knowing, like, this is not, you have to get to this level to spend all of that. And so they rack up credit card debt or they do whatever because they were never taught. That's not, like, this is, we laddered up to that. You're not starting there.
Yeah. So I guess my question for you is, why is your program not in every college curriculum?
Listen, we're working on it now.
We're only two people here.
No, it could massive. There's a massive opportunity, like you said, to get them when you're young, because we're not taught these things in school.
Yeah.
And what a way to set yourself up for success, right?
The few times we have gotten to speak to young people, and don't hear this the wrong way, but we tell them, you're going to be richer than your parents, or your parents will never catch up. And it's not to be ugly. It's just to set the mind, get their mind right. Like, you start doing this right now, your parents will never catch up to you. You're so capable. But to your point, nobody taught us, and and it's almost, there's the opposite happening, right? What they're being taught is how to get their credit score, how to get in debt, how to get student loans. Sure. And so we love every opportunity, like Vanessa said, to get them young before they've
fresh. I call it fresh meat.
Yeah, fresh meat.
Yeah.
And so we have talked to a lot of them, but one other thing that, that whole concept of generational wealth, we have a friend that she calls, it's really more about generational wisdom. So let's all get our lives together, right? Let's figure this out and then teach our kids, and that's what we tell clients all the time. You just invested in generations by learning this yourself, by believing in yourself, by setting these goals and this vision. You're going to pass that on naturally to your kids, and then their kids and their kids, because, I'm sure you've heard of the stats of, people who are wealthy kids and how they lose it all the next generation. It's because they weren't taught that wisdom. And so, we're trying to help all the people we can, Gia.
We've had some friends who are homeschool moms, and they've asked us to come teach their kids, because in Florida, they've passed a law about you have to have a financial wellness or literacy credit before you graduate. And so our homeschool friends are like, well, we want that for our kids. Can you please come teach us? And it's just fun. It's like the funnest class, and they're such great kids. And so, like Shana said, to be able to lay it out, the plan, like, this is how you get there. If you start now, like, we showed them a budget, like, okay, like, those of you who have your first job, what are you doing with your money? Let's budget that out. And how do you set that up for success? Let's set up your system now. So that way, when it gets more complicated, you already have the system in place to make it successfil. Yeah.
And we're big believers in calling them to a higher standard, especially, as parents, you may not see what they're capable of as much because you're still you still see baby, that version of it, but you're an adult. You can totally do this. Let's start, let's be autonomous and get going. And hopefully that is the vibe that we give. So we've kind of separated ourselves as a brand or as a business, if you will, because like we said, we do try to make it lighthearted. We're trying to make it vision-based. Like, what are you excited about? That's the reason we're doing this. And we're taking the shame out of it. We're empowering you. You're totally smart enough to do this on your own. And that's kind of the vibe that we always try to speak with, hopefully.
Yeah. I love that. It's so powerful. So, before we wrap up, I would love to know what is, one or maybe two things that our listeners can consider doing differently, or that you want them to think about changing after they listen to this episode.
Well, it's super easy because Vanessa told you exactly how to do a 90-day review. And that's a great starting point. You're going to need to block out maybe an hour, probably not too long, and just do it. It's a good gut check moment. Maybe you're doing great. We could be wrong and you're just like totally nailing it. And that would be great for you to see. But if it's not that way, it's just a good gut check and it's a good motivator to get started. It's just, and you already have access to all of that information. The thing that we see a lot is people try to overcomplicate it. They stay stuck on purpose. I'm sure you see that in your coaching as well. They stay stuck on purpose because it's easier to be stuck than to learn and do and make changes. So this allows you to see the truth, and it's very simple. And then you can work with that.
Yeah, I love that, because it is about creating the awareness, right? And in this particular area, you have data to help you create that awareness, which is really powerful. Yeah.
We also have a free smart money guide that if people want to go to budgetbesties.com/smart money, I think it's $49, right? Mm-hmm. And basically it's everything that we teach our clients. So we went through and thought, okay, what are the number one things that we teach our clients to do that you can actually win from and put in place right now to gain, some actionable steps, right? Yeah. And so we put them in a guide for you. So you can go to, again, budgetbesties.com/smart money and download that and just really look at your finances and go, how can I do better immediately? That guide is going to really help you.
Yeah, we actually just went through our client recaps. So every time we have a session, we send a recap with action items, and we pulled all the ones that were over and over again, right? All the ones that everybody could do. And then we put them in that guide for everybody. So we'd love for them to check that out.
That sounds like a wonderful resource. So on this podcast, we talk about success and redefining success. I would love to know, I guess, from each of you, how you define success for yourself today, and maybe a little bit about how that definition has evolved for you over time.
Oh, that's a whole nother podcast, friends.
That's a whole nother podcast.
But we talked about this a little bit a few months ago, and I told Vanessa, I feel like we're already successful, and I'll tell you why. We definitely know that this is the thing that God put in us to do. So we're being obedient with that. And we wake up excited to do what we do. We love what we do. We have the best clients. It's so amazing. Right. Yeah. But within that is from 9 to 2, guys. If you need appointment outside of that time, we're not available. Love you. Because then we get to be moms and wives and part of our community. And we really get to, I don't know what I would change about our lives right now, because we're so blessed. And we get to do it together with our best friend. And we have, like I said, we have the best clients. Our families are super involved. And so I always just think, and I was telling my kids the other day, you want to be on fire, doing what God told you to do, doing that next thing. And when you wake up with that and you're ready each day to do that, that's what success is to me.
Yeah. And, we have a lot of people that come in and not knowing what they want to achieve and what success is to them. And so when we look back and because we don't want to be hypocrites, so we have to figure out what that means for ourselves. And like Shana said, when you sit back and go, this is what I want. I want to have a wonderful marriage. I want to have a wonderful relationship with my kids. I want to have a wonderful business. I want to do that with your best friend. We have it all. We always are thanking God for everything that He has blessed us with. And literally, like when Shana says that the foundation of our business was built on His plan for us, we are 100% doing what He told us to do. We had some red flags along the way.
Let's be real honest about that.
And we're super stubborn and we sometimes didn't listen, but He guided us right back to where we were supposed to be. But we are successful. Our kids are in a good school. We are there for their sports. We're very present when it comes to family time, and we're very present when it comes to our clients and business. And I'm really happy with that. Mm-hmm.
That's incredible. And I can tell, your passion, fuels the work that you do. So really amazing, amazing story. Shana and Vanessa, where can our listeners learn more about you and the work that you do?
Well, they can find us on any podcast platform as Financial Coaching for Women. It's our podcast. And then, head over to budgetbesties.com or any social media, My Budget Besties. That's where we're at.
Yeah.
Perfect. I want to thank you so much for being here, for sharing your insights and expertise. This has been truly an empowering episode. So thank you.
Oh, thank you so much for being such a wonderful host with such great questions. And we just really enjoyed it.
This was great conversation. Thanks for having us.
Absolutely. And of course, you can visit my website at gialacqua.com, reach out on Instagram at gialacqua. Don't forget to subscribe, rate, and leave a review. This is Gia signing off with gratitude for your time and energy. Our mic drops, but the movement continues. Until next time, your next chapter is waiting. Take care. That concludes another empowering episode of Your Future Starts Now. Before we wrap up, I want to thank this incredible community of high-achieving women. Your energy, resilience, and commitment to growth are the driving force behind what we do. If you enjoyed today's episode, please rate it, leave a review, and don't forget to subscribe so you never miss an episode. Your feedback fuels our mission to empower high-achieving women just like you. And of course, share Your Future Starts Now with the extraordinary women in your life who are also on a journey of healing and empowerment. Connect with us on social media, share your thoughts, let us know what topics you'd like to explore in future episodes. Stay connected on Instagram at gialacqua. I encourage you to carry the energy of this conversation into your day and keep on supporting the incredible women around you. Until next time, remember, your next chapter is waiting.